All right, so on this video, I thought I would show you again a couple of hints on dividing with two-digit divisors, along with a couple of problems off of the Facing Math page, because I know that some were struggling on that on Friday. And so, with me being out, I want to make sure that you guys still are getting some instruction, and if you need the help, that it's there for you. You'll just have to, watch it on the video. I just won't be there in person. So the first thing I thought I would do is just kind of show again what a two-digit divisor is going to look like and some of the things that you need to think about. So on this problem, a couple of things before we get started. I have a four-digit dividend, 3,456, and I'm going to divide that by 41. So we'll have a two-digit divisor. So the first thing on a two-digit divisor is really think about adjusting the two-digit divisor to something that you could work with that's easier on you. And so on this problem, my divisor is 41. So I'm probably not going to think so much about my 41s. I'm going to probably think more of my 40s or my 4s. Because when I'm thinking of my 40s and I'm skip counting by my 40s, that's the same thing as me skip counting by 4s and adding a 0. So it'd be like 4, 8, 12, or 40, 80, 120, and then so on. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing that I might want to start thinking about is, even though this is a two-digit divisor, I'm still going to use the same steps here. I'm still going to think, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? So I'm going to start with, even though it's a two-digit divisor, I'm going to start with my 41, and I'm going to ask myself, can 41 go into, and then this is kind of where your mind's going. It can't go into 3. 41's bigger than 3. It can't go into 34. You're going to have to take it all the way into 345. And so that first step there sometimes will throw some kids off because they don't think, well, it probably shouldn't go into that big of a number. But when you have such a big divisor, sometimes that's going to be the case. That's going to happen. And so for this particular problem, I'm going to have to really bear down, and I'm going to have to really think about, all right, do I really want to focus on my 41s, or do I want to make my life easier and maybe focus on my 40s or my 4s? So I showed this trick last week. It's probably going to take some practice. It is going to really take you seeing it several times before you can start using it. But this is something that, I was taught when I was a kid, and it really works, and it saves yourself some time. So really watch what I'm about to do here. So since I'm taking 41 into 345, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to not only think about my 40s, I'm going to drop it all the way down to my 4s. So I'm going to underline that 4 right there. And then I'm going to come over here to my dividend, and I'm going to really think about just the first two digits. And so my first initial thought here is, how many 4s would go into 34? Now, the reason I'm going to think that is because, again, I'm trying to adjust that number to make my life easier. Instead of thinking about my 41s, I'm going to think about my 4s. And if you know your facts really well, then this should make sense. 4 can go into 34 8 times, because 8 times 4 is 32. So what that tells me before I start to do anything off to the side is, my first fact I want to try is probably times 8. So I'm going to come over here to the side, and I'm going to write the actual divisor, 41, and I'm going to times it by 8 just to see what I get. Because it's going to be something close to 345. It might be over it, it might be under it. We just have to go try it. So 8 times 1 is 8. That's pretty simple. 8 times 4 is 32. And so my first fact I tried there was 41 times 8, and I got 328. Okay, and if you know anything about division, that's what we want. We want that. And the reason we want it is because if I take it in 8 times, and I put 328 underneath it. If I were to go try another 41, I'd go past 345. So I'm at does McDonald's sell. I'm at the subtract part, so I'm going to go subtract here. I'm going to regroup this, treat it like a normal subtraction problem. Go through this, make sure everything looks good. 15 take away 8 is 7. 3 take away 2 is going to be 1. 3 minus 3 over there is going to be 0. So I'm going to check my work here. I'm going to compare. 17 is less than 45, so I'm good there. And then now I'm going to just go back to my steps. Does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? My next step is I have to drop down a digit. I had some kids last week not dropping that digit down. You remember, it's just, even though it's a bigger problem, don't let it freak you out there. You've got to know, hey, it's the same thing. I'm just going to drop it down. And then at this point, I'm basically starting over. I'm going back to how many times will 41 go into now 176, which in this case, probably not near as much. We just did 41 times 8. We had 328. I don't think we're going to have as much this time. I'm still going to go back to the trick I showed a second ago, though. Watch this. I'm still going to think about my 4s. Only this time I'm going to think about how many 4s can go into 17. And so my fact there that I would think of is 4 times 4, because 4 times 4 is 16, and that's pretty close to 17. So I want to come off to the side now, and I want to try 41 times 4. And again, even though I'm thinking about my 4s, when I come off to the side, I still have to show my work with 41, because that is my divisor. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and there we have it again. I'm really close to where I need to be. I'm not over it, so I'm going to use that. It can go in 4 times. That's 164 underneath. I'm going to go through the same steps. I'm going to subtract. This time I don't have to regroup. And then now I'm going to check. I'm going to look, it looks like on this one I have a remainder of 12. So I've got 84 with the remainder of 12. I know I'm finished. I don't have anything else to bring down. And so I'm looking at this problem, feeling pretty good. Really, all I had to do was 2 facts out to the side because I did some good thinking. I don't want to sit there and try all my 41s. That's going to just drive you crazy. A lot of you on Friday, and it's not a terrible thing what you were doing, but a lot of you on Friday, you were sitting there on your piece of scratch paper and you were just trying, fact after fact after fact after fact, and that's just going to get old. Again, I use this on Friday. You got to learn how to think smarter and not work harder. So you don't want to overwork yourself. You want to be able to think smart in your mind so you don't have as much to do. All right, this page came directly off of the worksheet, the Facing Math worksheet. And so I just thought I would do this as kind of a freebie, but also to show you again just a few of the steps for 4x2s in case this one, is catching your eye and you're having some issues with it. And so this problem is 1,166 divided by 53. And so if it were me on this one, I'm probably going to think about my 50s or maybe even my 5s. But 53 is so close to 50. I was working with this one with a couple of students on Friday. This is one where you would probably, some of you, and I think most of you actually, could probably go through this one and maybe do some mental math. Meaning, my first step is, can 53 go into 1? No. Can 53 go into 11? No. Can it go into 116? Sure. And so my first step there is probably going to be, how many times can 53 go into 116? It's probably not going to be too much. Because think about it, 50 doubled is already 100. And so 53 doubled, or 53 times 2, same thing as 53 doubled, is going to get me pretty close, I think. And so I can maybe come out and try that one. I think a lot of students can probably do that mentally. Some of you did that mentally with me on Friday. Double 50 is 100. Double 3 is 6. So if I try it here, it looks like it's going to be 106. And that's what I want. It goes in 106 times. It's close to 116. And so I'm going to go through my steps. I'm going to subtract. Looks like I get 10 left over there. I'm going to compare. I'm still good. I'm going to bring down. And then If you get division, then you just saw what just happened. We brought it down, and then now we're going to have the same thing happen again. We just proved it. 53 times 2 is 106, so it's going to go in 2 more times. It's going to give me 106. I'm not going to have any remainders, and I have a quotient of 22. So it looks like A on that problem is going to be what you draw there. Okay, the next one, this next one came off the back page, so this is more of a word problem. So I'm still going to show this as an example in case you do get to the back page. So I'm going to read this problem. Miss McDonald passed out 189 photos. That right there tells me a total. She passed out 189 photos that she had taken during the school year. If each of her 21 students, so that's going to be that's part of what she has. If each of her 21 students received the same number of photos, how many did each receive? Okay, so this is a classic part whole. They're going to start me with a total 189 photos, and then she's got 21 students, but my other part is missing. And so that's my job to figure it out. And I know that if I understand part whole, anytime I'm missing a part, I only have 2 options. I'm either going to divide or I'm going to subtract. And then if I really break this problem down and think what they want, how many did each receive, subtraction's out. That just doesn't make any sense. If I subtract those 2, my answer is going to be in the hundreds still. In fact, it's going to be probably around 160 something. And so that's way too many photos. That doesn't make any sense. So division is really the only thing that makes sense here. And so I'm going to set up this problem. And again, think about what you're dealing with. This is 189 divided by 21. 21 is almost 20. You know, on this problem, I'm probably going to sit and think about my 20s instead of my 21s. And so I'm going to use the same trick as I did on the first page. I'm going to underline that 2, and then I'm going to underline the 18, and I'm going to think, all right, here we go. How many 2s can go into 18? I'm not looking at the 21. I'm not looking at the 129. I'm looking at the 2 and the 18. And that's a math fact, 9. So I'm going to try this one out to the side and see if it's right. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. There it is. 21 couldn't go into 1. 21 couldn't go into 18. 21 has to go all the way into 189. And if you finish this off, of course, it goes in equally and you don't have any remainders. So it looks like A is going to be the answer there. So really watch yourself on these 2-digit divisors. Watch these videos a couple of times if you need some help. Watch the other videos that I'm going to give. Really pay attention to those 2-digit divisors. And again, I think the key is understanding. Don't work yourself, too hard. Work smarter, not harder. And so think about how you can adjust those numbers to help you out.